and receive my diploma. So I walked across the stage and I received my diploma. And I grew up in a family where college was a necessity. You had to go to college. It didn't matter. You're leaving high school, you're going to college. That is that. So I got all of my information together from high school, got all my transcripts and everything like that, and I entered into college. I really didn't want to be there. I really didn't. And it showed in my grades. I felt horrible because I knew that I was kind of wasting my family's money, which is why I eventually told them that, like, I couldn't do it anymore. So I did drop out of college. That's why I don't have a degree or anything like that at this point. I have attended some college. I do have some college courses under my belt. But it is definitely not something that I feel that I want to pursue from this point forward. If I go back, it's going to be for business management in order to help me with my shop. That would literally be the only reason that I went back to college. But to get to dropping out of college, I'm going to tell you guys everything that I went through there. So at this point, all I was interested in was boys. I just wanted to talk to boys. I wanted to find a boyfriend. I wanted to find someone who was going to love me, who was going to care about me. I just wanted a boyfriend. That's all I wanted. That's all I cared about. I put myself on numerous dating apps. I probably was on about 6 or 7 of them. And that's all I cared about. I talked to boys all day long, and that was all that I did because I wanted reassurance that I was pretty and that I was going to be good enough for somebody. So I ended up meeting this boy. And we got into a relationship. I was really just kind of done with college at that point. I had found the boy of my dreams, and we were gonna get married and have kids and just ride off into that beautiful sunset on our white horse. That's what happened. I ended up my last day of college when I finally decided I was not taking classes anymore. I had gone into my Spanish class and I didn't know the answer to any of the questions the teacher was asking me. The class was actually laughing at me because my answers seemed so stupid. So I ended up, she pulled me out to the side and she's like, look, you're not doing any of the classwork. You're not doing any of the homework. I really don't want to fail you. I don't want that to be a failure on your record. She's like, can you please just withdraw from my class and just save yourself all of the embarrassment? So I walked in, I picked up my bag and walked out. I, at that time, had a job that I was working, and I had my own car. So I met this boy, and so we started hanging out every day. Things seemed to be going really, really great. Well, probably a couple months into the relationship, he moved in. We got Raiden. Raiden came into the picture. Raiden's brother Bear came into the picture. And this is when I really started seeing the side of him that I didn't want to see. That was very scary to me. This is my number one case of abuse. He is the major abuser that I refer to. I will not put name out there. I don't want to go through that. I don't want him back in my life. After everything that I went through with him, he honestly scares the shit out of me. And I couldn't imagine him trying to come back in. So we got together, and at first I didn't really see it as abuse. At first it was oh, he's only doing this because he cares. He just cares. That's all it is. Then he started beating me, and then it was super bad emotional abuse. He was incredibly emotionally abusive, telling me that I would never find anybody better than him, that I couldn't leave him because it would never work out. I wouldn't find anybody else. Nobody else could put up with me because I was way too much. And all he wanted to do was sit and play video games. He didn't want to get a job. He didn't want to do any of that. And he didn't give two shits about my feelings. He literally, it was like he just wanted to live in the house for free. And that's it. He severely physically abused me, severely emotionally abused me. It was my worst case of abuse. So we brought Raiden and Bear into the house. And Bear was loud. Bear was definitely a husky. Like, you could swear up and down you saw the husky in that puppy because he talked all the time. He was really, really loud. And my ex kept threatening me, find the dog a new home or I'm going to kill it. Find the dog a new home or I'm going to kill it. Find the dog a new fucking home or this dog's going to be dead tomorrow. So, of course, I took those as, like, empty threats. He would never do that, right? I came home from work one day, and I walked in the door, and I saw Raiden. And I was like, okay, where's my dog? And he just looked at me, and he was... That's all he did. He didn't say anything. I said, okay, I'm not fucking playing with you right now. Where the fuck is my dog? Where is he? Because... literally, I left for work and I came back and he's not fucking here. Where's my fucking dog? And the only thing he said was, dead. And I immediately, like, broke down into tears. I didn't understand what the fuck had happened. So that day he told me the story. It was Bear got his head stuck in the dryer vent and couldn't get his head back out and he suffocated and died in there. And that's what happened. So, Bear got his head stuck in the dryer vent, and he suffocated, and he died. So we took him out, and we buried him. And I was kind of numb after that, because Bear was supposed to be my dog. But Raiden has always been super attached to me. As time went on, he continued this. Hey guys, so I'm popping in again on this video. I'm just now editing it and looking at what I've said. I didn't finish exactly what happened to Bear. He changed the story every time he told it. Like I said, the first time it was he got his head stuck in the dryer vent and that was the end of it. I just believed him, and then every time he told the story it differed. Like, it was, oh, he got his head stuck and he took his last breath in my arms. Oh, he was dead when I found him. Oh, like, I got it off and he was fine for like 10 minutes and then he died. Like, the story changed every fucking time he told it, it was something different. So I finally put the pieces together, like, once our relationship ended, that he actually killed him. The only reason I put the pieces together is because my mom walked out of the door at like 5:55, and like she looked my dog in the face. Bear was my dog. She looked Bear in the face, and sorry, the camera's kind of shaky. She looked Bear in the face and she was like, you be good till your mom gets home. And by like 6:05, 6:10, he was texting my best friend, one of my best friends at that point in time. Still am very good friends with them to this day. And told them that they needed to come comfort me because my dog died, and that was that. So to continue on to that, I'm just gonna finish up, like, I'm gonna continue to get into the abuse stories at this point of the things that we went through as family, as my pets and me. I attempted to press charges, but because they had fled the state, the district attorney would not pursue any charges. They wouldn't pursue any of the domestic abuse. They wouldn't pursue any of the animal abuse, none of the animal cruelty. So they pretty much just told me that I was screwed at that point. So sorry to like cut in. I fucked up recording and didn't finish these things, but here it is now, and I'm sorry, but let's get back to the story. And began to abuse Raiden. I watched him when Raiden was 7 months old, pick Raiden up by the scruff of his neck and punch Raiden in the ribs until Raiden couldn't scream anymore. Over a $15 Xbox headset that I turned around and replaced the next day. And I bought him like an $80 to $100 headset. But he beat the ever-living fuck out of the dog because he ate the Xbox headset. Video games was always an issue. If he couldn't play his video games, that's when he got the most violent with me. That was just the one thing that he just would not deal with, is if I wanted him to not pay attention to the video games for 5 minutes. So that was really difficult to deal with. A few months later, we brought in a kitten. I brought home the kitten. Nobody wanted me to bring home the kitten, and he was pissed that I brought home the kitten. Didn't think anything of it, yet again. And I had the kitten, and I was like, okay, well, the kitten needs a bath. And I was like, so I'm going to give the kitten a bath. I want to make, like, his first bath experience, like, pleasurable, because I want him to enjoy them, or at least tolerate them, so that it's not hard to give him a bath in the future, because at that point I had a cat named Paisley, and she didn't mind baths. All I had to do was do, like, the little scruff thing, and, like, put a binder clip on it, because that's what you do in order to, like, keep them scruffed. Scruff her, put a binder clip on it, and I could bathe her in 10 minutes, and it was done. And then the binder clip came off, and she got to run around and do whatever the hell she wanted to do. So I was like, I want to make his first bathing experience pleasurable, so that I don't have the issue that he won't let me bathe him. So I put the kitten in the bathtub, and I turned on the faucet, and I looked at him, and I said, please don't, because I knew he had a temper on him, and it was a bad temper. If anything didn't go his way, it was balls to the walls punching shit and screaming and cussing and all of that stuff. I said, whatever you do, please don't give the cat a bath, because I want to make his experience pleasurable. Like, I don't want him to not like baths. I said, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. Please, please don't do it. So I make it from the bathroom to the dining room table, and all of a sudden I hear, fuck! And I turn around, and I run back to the bathroom, and he had the hose, the water, and he had the kitten, like, he had our kitten by the scruff of his neck, and he was spraying the cat in the stomach with water. And so, like, when I got to the bathroom, he dropped it, and I noticed that the kitten had latched onto his arm. And he picked the kitten all the way up in the air and just slammed it to the bottom of the bathtub. I immediately started crying. I was freaking out. Picked the kitten up, and there was blood literally pouring everywhere out of this cat's face. Pouring out of his eyes, pouring out of its nose, his mouth, his ears. Like, he was literally bleeding out of everywhere. And I knew that there was no way to, like, take him to a vet, because the vet was just gonna put him down. And I got so scared with, like, them being like, what happened? And I didn't want to tell them what happened. So we decided, like, after about 10 to 15 minutes, Tipsy seemed to be okay. So I decided that I was gonna put him in the kennel for the night, like, in one of the cat carriers, because he was still, like, literally a 7-week-old kitten. I decided I would put him in one of the cat carriers, and that we would just see if he made it through the night. And I literally knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way that this cat is making this. Like, there's no way the cat's making it through tonight. So we woke up the next morning, and to my surprise, he was perfectly fine. Acted totally freaking normal. Obviously had like some dried blood like outside of his stuff. Obviously had some dried blood, but he was perfectly fine. He was the happiest little cat you'd ever meet in your life. Terrified of men at this point, but happiest cat you'd ever meet. So all of that went on. The abuse continued, and it finally got to the point where one night I decided to take a trip down to see my sister. And I told my sister what was going on, and she's like, I really don't feel safe you going home. And I was like, but if I don't go home, like, there's a chance that he could hurt one of the other animals, and I don't want to risk that. Because at this point, it was starving the dogs out. If I went to feed the dogs behind him, he would scream and yell at me, but he would tell me that he fed the dogs, and then 3 days would go by, and I'd say, okay, did you feed the dogs today? And he'd go, actually, I haven't fed them for the last 3 days. So then obviously the dogs are starving at this point. Like, it was horrible. Like, it was horrid. It literally destroyed me on the inside after he left. But obviously, when you're in an abusive situation like this, you don't think that you're safe to leave. Like, you just don't. Like, you feel like you're trapped, and you feel like no matter what you do, nothing's going to get better. And because this person is telling you that they're the only person that will ever love you in your whole life, you don't want to lose that. So it's scary. It's absolutely horrifying to go through a situation like this. So I feel that, like, anybody else who's going through that, like, I feel it. It's hard. It's really, really, really fucking hard. So he ended up, I went down to my sister's house and told my sister about everything that he was doing. And at this point, he had decided that Peaches lived in her kennel, and he wouldn't let her out. And Peaches actually would bury her own poop. Like, she would poop and then take the blanket and cover it up so you couldn't smell it and you couldn't see it. Like, she was very particular about nobody being able to, like, see or smell her poop. Well, she would also pee on the blanket that she was laying in, and she was in such bad condition when he finally left, and I finally could, like, take care of my dogs without getting my ass beat, that she had burns from here all the way down her stomach, because she was laying in her own urine all day. It got so bad, she wasn't just urine stained, she had burn marks all the way down her stomach. It was bad. It was really bad. And I hate the fact that because I was so scared, that because I didn't want my ass to get beat, I was tired of getting beat every day. I was so tired of just everything that had happened up to that point. I was so tired of being abused that it just got to the point where I took it, and I just let the animals take it. And honestly, if I have one regret, that's it. That the few months that I had my animals in those situations, that they were suffering, that they were being starved out. They were being, like, she was forced to lay in her own urine so bad that it burned her stomach. She had open wounds on her stomach. And it was horrible. It was so horrible that my animals had to go through that. And I swore when he left that I would never, not ever, let my animals go through a situation like that again. Because I felt guilty as their owner that they had to go through that. I felt so guilty that they had to suffer because I was too scared to stand up for myself. Now, granted, I stood up for my animals. I got my ass beat so many times for getting in between him and the dogs because the dogs chewed up something that they weren't supposed to, and he got mad about it. I literally cannot even tell you how many times I got my ass beat trying to stand up for my animals. I love my animals. My animals mean more to me than my own life. Like, I know that probably makes me sound super shitty, that like, and I'll probably get hate for the fact that they went through this. But you know what? They're not in that situation anymore. When he left, all of the dogs got rehabbed back to where they needed to be, and nobody has ever had to be in a situation like that ever again, ever since then. My dogs are my life. My animals are my life. I love them more than I love myself. And it was just really hard. So we went through all of that. And then a few years went by, and finally it started to get to the point where I say my PTSD, but I wasn't diagnosed at this point. But obviously, talking to my therapist, she said that my PTSD has been around for a very long time, that things like that have happened, and everything like that, that it's been like this for a long time. I was the person who did not want to seek treatment. I didn't care I was going to suffer in silence. I was going to deal with it by myself. I didn't like talking to people. I don't like telling people my problems. I feel like a burden. I don't like telling people what's happened to me. This video is huge for me. This is a huge step for me. I hate telling people about the things that I've been through. But my hope in this video, hopefully I don't get bashed for what I told you just previously about my animal situation when I was in that abusive relationship. Hopefully I don't get bashed for any of this, but you know what? At this point, I don't care. Even if I help one person, that's all that matters to me in this. That's all that matters. So a few years went by, and it finally got to the point where my depression was end all. I was done. I didn't want to live anymore. I had no will. I didn't care. My dogs could find somebody to live with that's better than I am. And, I literally, that was ended. I was done. I didn't care anymore. So I took a gun and I put the barrel in my mouth and I sat there. And I looked to my left, and I looked at Raiden's face. I could tell that he was pleading with me not to do it. Because, believe it or not, I have such a strong connection with Raiden because of all of the abuse that we went through together, and because of everything that me and that dog have been through together. That dog literally is my heart and soul. He knows everything. He knows how I'm feeling. He picks up on my reactions. He knows when something gets to the point that it's triggering me. He knows when I need help. He just knows everything. So he sat there looking at me, and I could just see in his eyes, I could just see it, please don't do this to me. Please don't leave me here. Please don't. Because honestly, if somebody else were to take Raiden, he probably wouldn't make it, because he's so scared of people. He's that scared of people. So I sat there for probably about 15 minutes with this gun barrel in my mouth, finger ready for the trigger, and I was just gonna end it. I was done. I had been so badly abused. There was nothing good going for me in my life. I was miserable. I was done. It was over. That was it. And I looked at Raiden, and then 15 minutes later, I pulled the gun out of my mouth. And I just sat there, and I cried. And he jumped in my lap, on my chest, and I just held him. And I pet him, and we fell asleep together. I fell asleep crying and holding him, just knowing that, no matter what, I had Raiden. No matter how bad it got, I had Raiden. And I knew that he had my back from that point forward. Fast forward a few more months. I still was in a place where it was dark. I was functioning. I was, everything. I made everything seem okay on the outside. Perfectly fine. I'm great. I'm in a great mood. I hope you're having a great day because I'm having a great day. How are you doing today? Today's great. Look at the sun. It's shining. It's beautiful. Everything's awesome. And that was the act that I put on, especially this day. I went to work. I put on my happy face. I told everybody how happy I was, how great things were, how amazing everything was. And then I went home. I sat down in my bed. And I really, really debated if this was something that I wanted to continue. I really, really, really wanted to continue my life. Started thinking about my aunt, how much I missed her, how I'd love to see her face to face, and how I'd love to be with her again, and how I was done. I had given up again. So I took an entire bottle of pain relievers, and I dumped them in my hand, and I just had a whole handful of pain relievers. And I sat there, and I looked at them, and I really debated it. Really, really did. Do you want to know what happened? Raiden jumped up in the bed. He saw my face. He saw what I was looking at, and he knocked the entire pile of pills out of my hand all over the bed, and then proceeded to try to eat one. He immediately spit it out because he realized how scared I got, and I picked up every single pill and I put them back in the bottle. Because I knew that what he had done was shown me how he would have felt watching me do this to myself. So again, I laid in bed and I cried and I cried and I held my dog, and I knew that this was going to be okay. That Raiden had my back. Fast forward probably a couple of years, I would say about a year or so from that. I finally decided to talk to a family member about everything that I had felt over the last few years. Ever since the abuse that I had gone through, everything, like my feeling of like, I just want my life to end. Like, I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to feel like this. Like, I was tired of everything. I was tired of it all. It was done. I literally just didn't even know if I wanted to make it to the next day. So I ended up telling them that I needed somebody to stay with me for the night because I didn't feel safe